There's the closing bell with the S&Ps finishing the day up about 17 points. You can see we sold off into the morning. However, we trended higher. Just taking a look at this thing on a daily, we put a new all-time high in and we're sitting at 4,088. But remember, coming into this week in the SPX, we expected just about 55 points. Spending Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday up in that 1 sigma move. We're breaking higher to that 1.5 standard deviation. You can see it's at 4,102. Maybe tomorrow we can push to that level, potentially FOMOing to that 2 sigma at 4130. But largely it's going to come down to what the Nasdaq wants to do. And taking a look at the Nasdaq, it's pushing its way higher to a 1.5 standard deviation at 13,765. Just looking at this thing from a daily, you can see we're breaking up to that area right now, and just on a year to date, the Nasdaq's up 8.6%. So when we compare that to the S&P, it's up 10.8%. So the Nasdaq still has a lot of room to catch up. When we look at it on the expected move, 13,626, we spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday camping that. Today we're exploding and we're breaking it up into the 1.5 right now as we speak. So we can clearly see technology is leading the way very strong. However, when we take a look at the Russell 2000, today it is up about 0.9%. You can see the Russell sold off. However, it got going. We look at it from a daily. It broke below that 61% Fibonacci yesterday at 2260. We're kind of in the middle of both these Fibonaccis on the expected move. However, we didn't get to that lower edge at 2210. So this week, technology has been carrying the load, and that's largely due to our bond market. And when we take a look at the bonds today are up with equities. They're at a pretty big level here. You can see if the bonds want to break above this area, they could get going, and if they do get going, it's going to hurt the yield. And we can take a look at 10-year yield. It's at 1.63 right now. It's down 1.25% today, and it's not looking strong. So if we see the bonds get some rally going, it's going to send these yields on down. And when the yields come on down, we're going to see a lot of growth stock names benefit, especially our big five. And taking a look at our big five today, it's up on the day 0.6%, putting in a new all-time high close. The big five is 5 companies market cap weighted index, leading by Facebook putting in a new all-time high, Google putting in a new all-time high, Microsoft all-time high. However, Amazon still has some catching up to do, you can see, as well as Apple, my favorite. I think Apple is going to be a nice play. It's going to continue to climb higher. You can just see Apple is about on a year to date up not even 1%. So if the Nasdaq's going to break up, it's going to largely be led by Apple. So we'll see what Apple's doing in the coming days, but I really love Apple as a trade. We take a look at the XLK. It was up 1.4%. So it's leading the big five, meaning other tech names are benefiting our growth name stocks due to yields falling. Heck, you even see the software stocks today leading the way up 1.66%. We see industrials up about 0.25%, healthcare up 0.15%, even consumer staples about flat on the day. We see financials just even. So the financials are hanging in there despite the yield falling. It was the XLE today down 1.3%, our worst performing sector on the day. So let's take a look at what's going on in the volatility index. Taking a look at the VIX futures, they're down 3% today. Some volume picking up here. We look at it intraday. It's trying to find a floor. The VIX has been banged up. Now when we take a look at the VVIX, it was up 4% today. Just looking at it intraday, it was trend up throughout the day, and it's getting some bids in the final minutes of trade. This is a red flag for me. Seeing the VVIX tick up like this all throughout the day, and just taking a look at the Nasdaq, it's at the 1.5 sigma move, potentially means it could revert back down to the mean. Even taking a look at it in the S&Ps, the SPX, you can see 1.5 sigmas at 4,100. So 4,100 in the S&Ps and about 13,765 in the Nasdaq should place some stress in tomorrow's tape. However, if we do break that, it's largely going to be done on the backs of the bonds. So the bonds are going to have to get going, which is going to push the yield down, which would give these growth stock names by default a nice lift, meaning our tech space should do a repeat of today's tape, seeing the XLK put a new all-time high close in. This could just be the beginning for technology. So that's enough for the equities. Let's just take a look at our dollar index and see what's going on in the commodities. And we take a look at the dollar index. It's down about 40 basis points on the day. This is looking ugly for the dollar as it falls. We look at crude oil. It's about flat on the day. Just kind of flirting with this 60 level. Crude oil being weak today was a reason why we saw the XLE down over 1%. And then we have gold today that's up close to 1%, sitting at 1756. Gold is trying to break out. It will confirm that if we see the dollar fall off, and for that to happen, we're going to need to see yields drop. But this could be a nice move for the precious metals. We'll have to keep our eyes on this going forward. And then we have Bitcoin. Today, Bitcoin is up over 3%, sitting at 58,000. It's put over a full month, you can see, over 50,000, which is pretty impressive. It would have been over 1 trillion market cap if it wasn't due for the 25th. We can see one day there, but Bitcoin's looking very strong. I want to show you some of my charts, and we take a look at the Coinbase chart, and you can see 57.7 right now. 59.4 was some stress, kind of nothing in this chart. In my Binance chart, the 57.9 level is giving it some stress. We're coming up on that. This is a 4-hour candle. That should be the first line of hurdle. Call it like 58K. Get above and hold. And then we have my Bitstamp. I drew a trend line. You can see from right here to here. And this seems like a very strong line, this yellow line. So it looks like we're trying to break up above this pitchfork, maybe ultimately break through, but we'll see if we kind of just flirt in between this in the coming weeks. I think some big moves are coming in late April. Let's just hold 55,000 or so, that 1 trillion level between now and then, and that's going to be great for the coming weeks for Bitcoin. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. So hitting the upper edge in most of our indices, the Nasdaq, the S&P, seeing the VVIX spike in the final minutes and throughout the day. I don't expect much going into Friday, so if we can kind of hold the levels we're at right now, that's going to be a good sign. Regardless, we're still having a great week across the board, and if we can just finish even on the day, that's enough momentum to carry into next week, because I think, like I said, Apple has a lot of room to run. If Apple gets going, and if the bonds get a rally behind it, it's going to send the yields down, which is going to drive up a lot of these growth stock names by default. So keep your eyes on what the bond market does overnight and what they perform throughout the day. The bonds are green, it means the yield's falling, which should mean tech names are on the rise. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. It means a lot when you guys can show some support. If you're watching me for the first time, show some love and hit that subscribe button. Mean a lot if you guys can do that. But other than that, any comments, questions, feedback, I'd love to hear from you. But on that note, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Have a great night. Take care. Peace!